Yes, guys. Welcome back to another video. Opposition preview coming up, man. I'm joined by Mont, Liverpool fan and host and owner of Big Six Bants YouTube channel, man. Some of you might have seen him. Hugh's been on the channel. Daps goes on the channel and that sometimes as well. So, yeah, big up, Mont. Thank you for coming on, man.
No, thanks for having me, man. It was a long time coming after, this fixture. It just shakes football, innit? Maybe not this season, but again, it's still a massive game, massive for the title race. And I'm just glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
It's kind of funny, how like for the last 4 or 5 years, City and Liverpool have been going head to head in the Premier League. Some of the best football that I personally have witnessed in the Premier League. Some of the most intense Premier League title races. And this season, despite obviously Liverpool's sort of fall off this season, that Liverpool are still going to have a massive part to play in the title. Like all Arsenal fans this weekend are like, "Come on, Liverpool." And all City fans are like, "Nah, don't do that." And then next week, City fans are going to be fucking back in Liverpool. Like, you guys are like, obviously, you'd rather be in the title race, right? But you guys are feasting in the next 2 weeks. Like, as long as you get a result against one of them, you're going to upset someone, innit?
See, this is what I'm thinking. I agree with you there because I feel like we're the Chelsea of recent. Because if you look at Chelsea, I believe it was Chelsea's game who won Tottenham the league. Tottenham the league. Sorry, it was Chelsea's game who won Leicester the league after beating Tottenham. It was Chelsea's game that won us the league when we was watching it from home, and they won us the league. And I'm pretty sure Chelsea lost us the league against you guys in 2014 with the infamous slip. So it's one of those things where, bro, this season, even though we have a massive say, it doesn't feel as bad as it could do, simply because there's so many. There's so many. How would I say it? You look at all the teams around us, and there's no consistency. Everyone has inconsistency. Spurs were 3-1 up at Southampton. They can score 2 goals, and at the end of the game, Conte basically sacked. You look at Newcastle. They look like they have the best defense, but now all of a sudden they're starting to leak goals. Unless Isak's in form, they're not scoring. You look at Liverpool, go beat Man United 7-0, and then what happens after that? You go lose to Bournemouth. There's no consistency in that top 4 race. So,
and you're not even mentioned Brighton, bro, as well.
Brighton, Brentford have a shout in there as well. So I think whether we drop points in either of these games, I think there's still room for maybe 1 or 2 mistakes. But of course, we want to get the dub in both wins. But we have a massive say. I generally think this game is the harder game. I'm not going to lie, because again, we haven't beat you guys since 2016. In fact, is it the whole Pep era we haven't beaten you guys today? Let's be honest. Is it the whole? Is it since?
I think you got 1 dub against us. Did you get 1 dub against us?
I don't think we have a win against you lot at the Etihad under Pep Guardiola.
Well, that's good for us. And I know that you've not beaten us at the Etihad in like the last 3 or 4. But the records are mad, right? Because I was looking at the records at Liverpool versus City. So that record that you just said sounds mint for me, right? So I'm going into this game thinking fucking buzzing. Yeah. But then we've only won 1 in the last 7 games against Liverpool. But Liverpool have also lost every single 12:30 kickoff this season. So it's like, what the records, like how people say, you can find stats to like boost your, say you have an agenda against a player or like you support a player, right? And like, you can always find a stat to like, support your decision. It's the same with these records. And like, if I just want to like be sort of super positive, I'll just go, boom, like Liverpool haven't beaten City at the Etihad in the last 4 games, and Liverpool have lost every half 12 kickoff this season. But then I could also look at the fact that we've only won 1 in the last 7 against Liverpool, man. So I think the stats and the records for these games are crazy for the game to half 12.
It's because no matter what level anyone's at, this is still a game of high intensity. Like, for some reason, again, I always say I don't know what Liverpool we're going to see. It's like a flip of a coin these days. But against Man City, you're going to see a Liverpool. I always feel like a Liverpool that's always going to make the game cagey. That's going to really go head-to-head with you guys. Because let's be honest, no one else is going head-to-head with you. Like, do you know what I mean? No one else was. And when we were at the top, well, you guys are still in amongst that top, but even though we had fallen off, how about this? Even when we had the off season, our games were still quite intense. When we lost all of our defenders, the games were still quite intense. Yeah. Even the FA Cup, the 3-2 win, when you guys won just earlier on, it was intense. They were like, this does not look like everyone's just come back from international duty and it's a cup game where there've been changes. Look at the intensity. It wasn't so. And I think it's going to be one of those games again, man.
Yeah,
It's going to be massive.
I want to talk about Liverpool for now and then. Maybe later on, I want to speak about City because obviously a lot of City fans will be watching this video, wanting to understand what's going on with Liverpool at the moment, what's gone wrong at Liverpool so far this season, and as well maybe a bit of an injury update. I've seen Diaz back in training. Maybe you could give us a bit of an update on that. But like, at the end of last season, obviously we won the league on the last day. Sorry to rub it in. We won it on the last day, man. It was great for me, obviously painful for you and that, but. Yeah. A great season for Liverpool, still up there in the points. And again, going into this season, you signed Darwin Núñez. I thought at the time was a bit of a risk. I thought that still a risk. I just my thought about Darwin Núñez wasn't that I thought he was shit, because I don't actually think he's a very, very good player. I thought that obviously Liverpool don't have the budget of City, right? And I thought that they spent that money unwisely. I thought, okay, if you wanted a striker, maybe go and get someone maybe slightly cheaper and then invest in the midfield. I mean, the midfield has been absolutely abandoned at Liverpool. I cannot believe what has happened to that midfield. But yeah, maybe just give us your thoughts. I mean, going into the season, like, what you thought and where you've been on that sort of journey so far this season with Liverpool, man.
I'd say it's been up and down, but a lot more downs than ups. There hasn't been a lot of positives for me this season. I'm just gonna be honest with it. Like, if I'm talking positives, because there's not going to be a lot of them, I'd say Harvey Elliott, his recovery from the horrific injury last year, for me, is a positive. He gets a lot of stick, but for me, Klopp's played him left wing. Klopp's played him everywhere but his actual position at right wing. And I understand the obvious Mo Salah is going to be an issue for Harvey to play right wing, but the one time he did play there, scored a 30-yard screamer, has a great game out of the match. You know, I think him playing right centre mid is too much for him. I think it does strain the midfield defensively, especially if Thiago's playing, who isn't going to do the most defensively. In fact, you don't want him to do the most defensively. You look at the likes of Rodri, you look at these type of controllers who can dictate a game and play at their tempo. You don't want them to be diving in and making tackles. That's the last thing you want these guys to be doing. You want them to control the pace of the game. And at this moment, we have Thiago diving into tackles. And I don't want that for Harvey as well. I'm not saying Harvey's a controller or deep man midfielder, but he's doing things that he doesn't need to be doing as a footballer, in my opinion, like according to his traits. When he got played on the when Klopp put Harvey on the left wing, I was on edge. I was on edge. I had it to hear with Klopp at that point when I was seeing Harvey Elliott on the left wing. Honestly, me and the whole Klopp thing, I've never been Klopp out, but there's been times this season where like I've been on the brink of going, yo, this guy is playing against us with some of his tactics. In fact, let's move on to Klopp. Let's just move on to Klopp quickly, just briefly. A lot of his in-game tactics, the in-game substitutions, the lack of diversity in formation has been horrific this season. And those super positive Liverpool fans who have been saying things like, oh, you know, we failed him, look at the midfield. No. This season, in the grand scheme of things, yes, FSG have been harsh, to say the least, for Klopp in the midfield and Liverpool in general. But this season, it is on Jurgen. I'm sorry. You was given money and you went and bought Darwin Núñez. That was Jurgen Klopp's signing to go and get Darwin Núñez. Is it Núñez's fault? Absolutely not. But to go and look beyond a central midfielder.
Yeah, that's fucking, I don't know, bro. It's poor,
you
man.
have 6. In fact, at the time, we had 8 attackers. Fair enough, we'd let go of Sadio Mane. Divock Origi was still there. Do you know what I'm saying? Firmino is obviously now leaving, of course, but you still had Firmino and Jota as striking options. Firmino has 12 GA and 11 starts this season. But he's finished. He's finished now. He's finished. In the Premier League, by the way. Jota, 16 goals last season in the Premier League.
Yeah.
You know, of course he had the injury, so in hindsight, you can talk about the injury, but you know what I'm saying? It's hindsight. We have, of course, Diaz, Salah. Harvey Elliott is supposed to be an attacker by trade, so you could even throw him in there as well. Do you know what I mean? And of course, we let Sadio Mane go. So for me, we didn't really need to. We didn't need to sign Núñez. Like, I'm sorry, we didn't need to sign him. It's a risk because he's young, he's raw, he's got these qualities. I think his footballing fundamentals need improving. But listen, he's a handful to say the least. But to say we need that over a midfielder, it's criminal.
It's
It's
weird.
criminal. And then to go and apologize for it on the final week of the transfer window, he holds his hands up and says, "Guys, I'm sorry. We need a midfielder. We go and sign off for Melo on the final day on loan. He's played 30 minutes of professional football for us."
That's worse than Calvin Phillips, man.
Calvin, and you see, I had egg on my face when you guys signed Calvin Phillips. I said he's going to be the next Jack Rodwell. I said this to Daps. Ask Daps and go ask him. I said he's going to be the next Jack Rodwell. And then we went and signed Arthur Melo. So what do I look like? What do I look like right now? And then on top of that, we go, do you know what? There's still January. We lost. Let's make it to January and let's fix things. Go and get a midfielder in January. I was like, what are we going to do? We got to get another attacker, don't we?
Yeah,
we go and get another attacker. It's like...
Very strange.
Like, do you know what I mean? It's like...
I don't get it.
Going back to your cheating ex. Why? It doesn't make sense, bro. So, and what's worse, he doesn't... Gakpo, whether he's a left wing striker, Darwin Núñez left wing, we don't know. Klopp's just... It's like pick and mix in Cineworld. You're just picking it and you're just putting it somewhere and you're hoping it works. That's what it seems like with those two. You don't know their positions. Harvey Elliott, what's his best position? You know, Curtis Jones, what's his best position? You don't know. Is that mid winger sort of thing with them as well. So Klopp needs to really buckle down on his tactics and his verification. Obviously, you was there when we spoke on Never a Foul when I really got into the whole Virgil van Dijk thing, Klopp's tactics, and it's so frustrating because you don't know what Liverpool you're going to get. And I generally, if you want to do a percentage of how much you're going to blame Jurgen Klopp for this season as opposed to FSG, I'm saying 80 to 85% this season is Jurgen Klopp's fault. Because that 4-4-2 we done just before the World Cup, I don't care what anyone said, we had a good game against Arsenal. If it wasn't for the Luis Diaz injury, we had a real shout in that game. We managed to beat you guys. Fair enough, we played a 4-3-3, but it was basically a 4-4-2 when we sat back the way we played you guys, and we managed to get the victory. Darwin Núñez found some form. We saw the best Mo Salah in that formation. Salah's got a 6-minute hat trick when he come off the bench in that formation. You know, and this is his worst season. But then after the World Cup, what do we do? Straight back to false nine. Any excuse to go back to the false nine.
It certainly seems like very strained, and it's weird because I don't think it had to be like this, man. You know what I mean? Like I go back to the signing of Núñez in the summer, and I think that Núñez will in time be proved to be a good signing and a good player. I think he's got all the hallmarks of being a fantastic player. I just think he needs to work on his craft a little bit, as you say, improve some of his fundamentals. And ultimately, he does need to become a little bit more clinical in goal, like a bit. Yeah, just a bit.
He's averaging 10 million to go in the Premier League, but
not great. I mean, I remember the Carabao Cup game at the Etihad, and we won the game, but Darwin Núñez had about 3 or 4 chances, which not easy chances, but for an £80 million striker, for a player that we're saying this guy should be a world class striker, right? Because he's playing for Liverpool, one of the best
to Haaland. Remember those?
Exactly. So he should be burying those, and I think he needs to be more prolific in front of goal. But I love his pace, I love his strength. If he could just improve his finishing and improve his craft ever so slightly in the other areas, I think he's going to become a good player. But the point was, I didn't think that Liverpool should have spent that 80 million on Darwin Núñez. I didn't think that that's what they needed. They were screaming out for midfielders. I mean, I look at your midfield and I almost have to double check the squad. You know what I mean? Like when you go on Liverpool's website, go on squad or go on Google and type in Liverpool squad, I'm looking at the midfield. I always have to refresh it and think, nah, there must be missing someone off it. I'm looking at Fabinho, Milner, Henderson. I'm looking at
Naby
Naby Keita, fucking hell. And then I'm looking at Curtis Jones. Good, I like Curtis Jones, but he's never going to be a starting player. I don't think. Yeah. Harvey Elliott, who's not actually a midfielder, and I'm looking at it thinking, these guys actually decided in the summer to not get a midfielder and to get Darwin Núñez, as you said, where you're stacked full of attacking players. Oh, okay, they make the mistake. They then get to January and they go, right, fucking hell, boys, we need to sort this midfield out. And as you said, they go and get Cody Gakpo, who again, is probably a good player in that. But it's are these guys not seeing what I'm seeing? And Liverpool fans, I know Liverpool fans are saying this because they've been saying it all season. Why is the club just letting the midfield absolutely rot, man? It makes no sense to me. You spent 120 million quid on 2 attacking players when you're already stacked. And you know what's funny actually? I don't think that. I think it's going to get worse in the remaining part of the season because because you've had Diaz out, yeah, and obviously Jota's had the injuries and stuff, and obviously he's not really favoured Firmino. I don't know if Firmino's had injuries. You kind of like got away with it, right? But now all these players are starting to come back. You're going to see players like Diaz on the bench, Cody Gakpo on the bench. You're still going to have like Firmino on the bench. And your midfield is now going to be still the same. So I think as you're going to have these top talents on the bench, I think the scrutiny on the midfield is going to be amplified because you're going to see all these attacking players on the bench and you'll be like, why the fuck didn't you sign the midfielder? So I think the scrutiny could get worse, man.
Yeah, but LB, how about this then? Once the midfield gets worse, what's the knock-on effect? Defense gets worse.
Correct.
Trent gets exposed more.
Yeah.
And that gets exposed more. When you get exposed, it's not even just tactically and mentally. You get injuries. You get injuries when you're getting exposed consistently. You get injuries. You know, and then what's next? The attack gets starved. Attack is starved. You know, so there's a knock-on effect to not having a midfield. Midfield win you leagues. That's ultimately, I think, that's the difference between Manchester City and Liverpool was the midfield. I thought our attack was a little bit more potent, but ultimately our midfield was superior. You know,
and I think the way that we play, because we didn't play the same style, we was more possession based, controls the games, and obviously because we had that midfield that can control games, we didn't open up as much as Liverpool. Now, when Liverpool were on fire, obviously when they won the league and stuff, they blow teams away, but you can easily also concede a goal, and if your attack has an off day, boom, you've lost a game. City are obviously a bit more possession based, which sometimes means we don't create as many chances. We probably have a few more draws than you over the years, maybe a few more 0-0 and that. But maybe I agree. I think the midfield is key, and it makes no surprise to me that since you've lost the likes of Wijnaldum and that your midfield has just gone completely shit, and your defense now is vulnerable, man.
I think that's why we bought Thiago. That was why I thought we bought Thiago, to look at certain games and go, all right, how do we sort of gain a little bit more control and have a little bit more? Because Liverpool could even though Liverpool, you know, will rock and roll, gegenpress and all that stuff, we could still control games too, especially for a team that was inferior to Liverpool. If it was inferior to Liverpool, we'd still have 70-80% possession, but it was about controlling the game. Having possession and controlling the game, I think, are slightly different, you know. And having Thiago there, I thought, all right, sweet guys, we know what to do here. You know what I'm saying? But then, again, he's having to do more running than controlling, especially this season. And the first season he came in, I think last season had a very good season. But I love Thiago to bits, but he needs a partner in there. He needs someone in there. And that was Fabinho. Because they had a brilliant record together when they both used to start. But it's still not, it's not good enough, in my opinion. And if you look at the last 4 years, we've signed one midfielder.
Yeah, shocking.
In 4 years, that's 8 transfer windows, and you've gone one midfielder. And and people think why Fabinho's gone from 29 to 49. That's why. He went from being compared to Rodri to being compared to Douglas Luiz. That's why. It's what it is, man.
I always thought as well, though, that I always thought Fabinho was very good, but I never thought personally, and I don't know, I'll get your take on this, that it was in the same league as like a Fernandinho. For me, I think Fernandinho's probably been one of the best CDMs this country's ever seen. I think he's up there with the Kantés, the Makaleles. I really do. I thought Fabinho was an excellent player, don't get me wrong. I never thought he was quite as good as that. I thought he was always maybe a little bit of a level below that, and now he has taken another dip. I think you now started to see that he's just not quite. I mean, Fernandinho was still playing at Manchester City when he was 36, doing it then. You know, Fabinho's meant to be, 27, 28,
I mean,
29.
he technically is 49, and he technically is 49. I think he's been doing now. Jokes aside, I think with Fabinho, it was prime years kind of thing. It was short-lived. So I think Fabinho had 2.5 years where I generally think he was the best DM in the world until Rodri came along and put a swift end to that. Because even Rodri's first season was a bit shaky for me when he first came in. I was a bit like, what we're going to see from him here. And then Fabinho having a good season last year, you could, as a Liverpool fan, we won't admit it at the time because we're stubborn, but we could see Fabinho's legs were starting to go towards the end of last season. Klopp was overplaying him. I remember he played him in the Wolves game. I was fuming. When he started, I was fuming because we were saying save him for that Champions League final. Do not play Fabinho. Started him, got injured first 5 minutes. Fuming. Absolutely. And these are the things that we talk about short-lived. Is it short-lived because of how much running and how demanding the system is? It does play a part.
Of course it does. Yeah.
he is injury prone. Let's be honest. People just forget that he's injury prone. He has his fair share of injuries all the time. He's had to go centre back. He's had to play centre back. He plays right back sometimes for Brazil. I just think that he wasn't there long enough. He wasn't here long enough for you to go Fernandinho, Kante. Do you know what I'm saying? He wasn't there long enough. And I think if you maybe gave him 2 more years at the top, then you could start to have that conversation. But at Liverpool, your time in the midfield is never going to be long if you're going to be playing at the same intensity, the same way for the next 5 years. And if Klopp thinks that we can play at a midfield intensity for another 5 years and it's not going to fall apart after that 5 years if he gets it right, it's crazy. It's insane. Doing the same thing and expecting different results. Definition of insanity. You know?
True.
So
it's a madness. It's a madness. Well, yeah, so there's a good little insight into to Liverpool this season, man, and I've certainly learned a few things on that one. I want to turn our attention now to City and the title race. First of all, what have you made of City this season? Obviously, bringing in Haaland. Are you one of these people that thinks he's made us worse, or do you think he's made us better? And sort of, what have you made of us this season? How do you see the title race going, man?
I think you guys are like, and don't take this the wrong way, you're a refined version of Liverpool at times in terms of what you've done. So you guys have had to, again, you've played beautiful football for ever since Guardiola's come in, pretty much. Yeah, It's like, you play this style, and I think that now that you, just like us, at the same time, we both went and got natural strikers, and I think we played with a false nine for longer than you guys have, because Aguero was a natural striker, but he had the traits of a false nine. He had it all. He was Jesus and Haaland. He was both of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once obviously Aguero's kind of left the picture, and it was more Jesus, either De Bruyne. You even had flipping Gundogan going false nine and playing false nine better than a lot of the false nines. But adapting to a 9, I think that's the issue. It's Haaland's not the issue. It's because I see Haaland make a lot of runs in behind.
Yeah.
Down here and there.
Yeah.
But I've seen Bernardo Silva get his head up, go to the side. I've seen Gundogan, who I think hot take, is a better footballer than Kevin De Bruyne. I think Kevin De Bruyne is a better player, but I think Gundogan is a better footballer, if that makes sense, in terms of he's 8s. He's just straight 8s. And then KDB's like 9, 9, 9, 7, 9, 9, 9, 9, 7, 7. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Gundogan's just unreal. So
He's certainly underrated. Gundogan, probably one of my favourite City players. I fucking love Gundogan so much, and I knew he was going to do something last season, man. And it's a shame because he's probably going to leave this summer. But I agree with that. Playing the ball in behind for City is something that we've not done this season.
Those runs, runs, and I look at his frustration. I'll go, oh my days, and I don't think he makes you worse. I think that's a stretch. I think it's new. And like Liverpool, you've been playing away for a while, and it's not complete. It's not like a complete change for Liverpool. I think it's more so a tweak. It's a tweaking system, and you guys are getting used to it. And you're getting used to a tweaking system. It's still fighting for the league, still in the Champions League. Our tweaking system is sitting in 6th place. That's what I mean. More refined, because Pep at least has. There's been verification. There's been variation. In his tactics. As I said, you guys have never just played one way. You played the 4-1-4-1 before. You played the false 9 before. You've gone 2 up top with Alvarez and Haaland before. You've done these things before. Even though I don't think I've ever seen you guys do this 3-2-4-1 thing. I've never seen you guys do that before. And have Bernardo Silva collect the ball from left back. My opinion, I think Pep's just bored. I think he's bored because again, Liverpool. We'll make the joke. We are your hype man. We've been even though we've gone toe to toe, we make you guys better. I always say this. Whenever we're going toe to toe, I think we make you guys. We push you guys.
Well, I think we push it. I think in that period we pushed each other, right? Because we both knew that you couldn't drop points because when we're getting 100 points, we're getting 99 points. You couldn't afford to. And this is what I was saying to Arsenal fans, man. When I'm going out on that AFTV and speaking to the Arsenal boys and that, I'm saying, look. The reason why I'm still more confident this season that we can win the league is because, with the greatest respect in the world, you ain't no Liverpool. You know what I'm saying? Like, Okay, granted, if you go the rest of the season and accumulate all these points and get up to the 90s, yeah, which they're probably going to do, we'll have to wait and see, and get to like the late 90s in the points, and I'll respect you. But until you've done that, I ain't going to respect you. You're not known Liverpool. Liverpool have done this 4 years. They pushed us. They've had some of the. Yeah, I used to feel physically sick, man. When I used to watch Liverpool, because you'd sit there, right, and it'd be 1-1 watching Liverpool, right, and it'd be the 94th minute, and I'm sat there going, they're gonna fucking score in a second. They're gonna, and then you're just watching it, and they'll score, and it might be a lucky goal, it might be a screamer, it might be a beautiful goal, whatever. Regardless of how the goal happens, you knew it was coming. Now, with Arsenal, I am starting to feel a little bit more like that now. Obviously, they got that big win over Bournemouth where they were 2-0 down and scored in the last second with Nelson. But until they do it, I can't give them the full respect until they've done it. And it's not because I'm being disrespectful. It's more just because you boys haven't done it yet, and therefore I'm still backing us to do it, man.
We haven't seen the same. Honestly speaking, we haven't seen the best City this season at all, because unfortunately you guys are still adapting to playing with a striker.
We're still in transition. Right?
I still think you guys probably all around gameplay probably still suit the false nine better, but KDB's legs are going. They are going. Like it or not, his leg, he's starting to slow down. It's still quality, but he's starting to slow down. I think it's unfair to put him in that false nine for another season. I think bringing in a striker probably was the right thing to do. Bringing in Alvarez for variation. So again, you got someone that's more busy. Someone's going to come in between the lines. Someone's going to be a little bit more like Gabriel Jesus. Is something that still causes problems. So listen, this is Haaland's first season. So this is the season of mistakes. And he's still got more goals than games. This is why Haaland's not the problem. Because it's his first season. So imagine what's going to happen next season. And the season after that. And I hope he fucks off to Madrid after that, because I'm sick of him.
The whole of the country does, man, apart from City fans,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, more so, I think we've probably done the best against him. I think he struggled the most against Liverpool.
Yeah, I'd probably go with that. I think he struggled against United in the away game, but I think that was more of our own doing. I think the games that I can remember, I'm not just saying that because we're doing a preview. I think I can go with that, man. I think I can go with that.
1-0, the Community Shield. I think even in the FA Cup, he gets the goal front post, but he looked a bit uneasy, like he was missing chances that he should definitely put away early minute. Should just chip the keeper. Misses. He does get across Joe Gomez, but yeah, man, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about Manchester City this season, and I think it's more adapting to a striker rather than blaming the striker. And I look at KDB. I think KDB's having his. I don't think he's been the KDB we're used to having. Whether that's KDB's fault, he wasn't that good internationally. He's okay internationally. I don't think it's as bad as people made out to be when he was playing for Belgium. I think that's a stretch. But he's not been, statistically, he's been there. But for me, I think maybe he's been told, get the ball, give it to Haaland. Maybe it's that. Maybe he's been told by Pep, yo, forget what you've been doing for the last 5 years. You get that ball and you get it to the striker. He's going to win you the league. Like kind of what Fergie was saying to his players when they bought RVP.
Yeah,
that could have been a thing. So we never know. I think for me, it's been Rodri and Gundogan have been the two for me. Bernardo's been okay in phases. I think he's been asked to do a lot, though. He's been asked to do, because I watch City.
He's a workhorse, man.
Games, and he's being asked to do weird things. I'm not going to lie. But Gundogan for me and Rodri, I don't know why people are saying Rodri, it's Casemiro and Partey. For me, Rodri's right up there with both of them. I think he's the one who's actually been consistent out of your midfield. He's the one that's not dropped off. He's the one that dictates the game. He's the one that's come up trumps. He's the one that won you that league last season. Not Gundogan. It was Rodri. For me, it was Rodri. Both of them, but do you know what I'm saying? So the misconception with Rodri, I think it's a bit unfair as well, in my opinion. I think he's been colossal. I remember you guys are playing most of the season with your 4th and 5th choice centre backs, but because you're Manchester City, no one cares. No one cares. I promise you. I know. Centre backs. It's a clarity.
Exactly on that as well. I personally believe, right, that Nathan Ake has been the best defender in this Premier League season, right? And even if you don't agree with that, serious. If you watch his game, I've not seen him this season make a single mistake. He's played centre back. He's played left-sided centre back at a 3. He's also played left back. Not once has he made a single mistake. He's been he's been our best defender, right? And people. Yeah, when I speak to opposition fans, they're like, no, Chad. They're not even like, I wouldn't say best, but yeah, maybe top 3. They're just like completely disregard it because it's Nathan Ake. Akanji's done all right. You know what I mean? £15 million. Pep's making it work. Obviously, we've got Laporte on the bench and that. But, you know, this is a mad time. Last 10 games, unbeaten in the last 10, right? We're on a 6-match winning streak. 5 games in a row clean sheet. We are slowly starting to show signs that we're starting to play, decent. Our last 3 or 4 games, Haaland looked really good. I know he's injured. He probably missed a game against Liverpool, but I don't think it'll be too bad. I think he'll be back next week at the best. KDB, who's been in, started the season pretty well. Then through the middle part of the season was quite poor. And again, last 3 or 4 games are starting to show signs that he's starting to get into the business. And you only have to remember what he did at the end of last season when he just fucking started cooking everyone. I think he scored 5 at Wolves in one game. Phil Foden again, the same. Started well. Had a bit
Glad
of
he's not playing, by the way. Sorry, just to interrupt you. Glad because he loves playing against my club. Oh my God.
Yeah, but he started now to show signs. A shame that he's had these appendix things. He'll be out for the next 2 or 3 weeks. But he started to show signs that he's coming back. The whole team, and of course, defensively, we're solid, man. So these last couple of weeks, we're starting to show signs that we're finding a way to win games. And at the end of the day, I always say this, but there's only 1 week that matters when you come to the Premier League table, and that's the week at 38, right? After you played your 38th game, you can be top of the league for 37 match weeks. It don't fucking matter until...
you're telling me. That's cheeky.
You get me? You get me? So like, yeah, okay, I'd rather be top of the league. I'm not saying I'd rather be second, obviously not, but like, it doesn't bother me that much until we get into sort of game week 37, game week 38, because ultimately that's what fucking matters, right? So it is a madness. I think City is starting to get something going. It's a real shame, man, that Haaland's now injured and Foden's injured, because we'll have to see if that's going to hinder us slightly. We've been really good last couple of weeks. Is that going to make us a little bit shit?
I think it's worse for Liverpool. I think if you look at the game in isolation, I would have rather played against Haaland. Because
this is interesting, right? You need to tell people on the channel, because you said this yesterday on the stream on Never a Foul, but tell the City fans what you said on the stream about why you'd actually rather have played Haaland than Alvarez. And by the way, guys, listen, because I actually think it could be factual information, man.
So you look at Haaland and how he's played in some of the big games this season, and with Haaland, there's only really one issue, and that's, if you can mark him out the game, and you can focus most of your defenders on what Haaland is doing and still manage to work with what else is going around, you've kind of nullified a lot of what City are doing. And Liverpool have done that 2 out of 3 times. I'm talking for Liverpool. This is for Liverpool. I'm not talking the guys. It's more so for
just to quickly interrupt there, bro. There was one other team that I can think of off the top of the head that did that this season, and that was Aston Villa. Tyrone Mings. And he he I wouldn't say pocketed Haaland, but he did a really, really good job. We really struggled in that game, 3-1-1.
I'd actually say Chelsea done an okay job in the result. I'm lying. Chelsea done an okay job. But even so, and we've seen Gomez and Van Dijk deal with him quite well, especially when we decided to sit back and there was less space in behind, and he wasn't really getting the ball too much. And even when he did get the ball, he felt a bit uneasy, because sometimes, even though people make it out like Haaland can't play football, or he's a terrible passer, he's a terrible dribbler. No, he can play football. He just doesn't see the ball that much. And as someone who actually plays a lot of football, when you don't see the ball for large amounts of the game, yes, sometimes the touch is going to be a little bit. There are going to be times, because he's not touching the ball consistently. He's not always feeding the ball. It's not part of the system as much. But for Liverpool now, in isolation, I think it would have been easier to play against Haaland, because we have that experience of playing him. Do you know what I'm saying? We played him outside a City shirt and in a City shirt, and we've been more victorious than not. Now you look at Alvarez, that's a different problem, because now he's going to be in between the lines. He's going to come and collect the ball. He's going to be making runs in behind. It's a problem that we have not faced. He even scored against. He got the goal in the Community Shield. He did, forget that one as well. I'm telling you. With Alvarez's movement and being busy, that is more of a problem for the current Virgil van Dijk and Konate, I think, as well. Because I think Virgil van Dijk and Konate can match Haaland physically. Similar to Tyrone.
I agree. Yeah.
A great defender, but has the physicality to really deal with a...
They like it, don't they? They like playing those big, strong attackers. Yeah, they feast off that.
Konate loves that sort of stuff, especially for how quick he is as well. But with Alvarez, he's a prototype. He's that Gabriel Jesus prototype, where he's going to be so busy. again, I still think he needs to work on some of his dribbling and his last-minute decision-making. But again, first season. So again, he's getting there. But it's going to be a different problem. And a different can be better. And it can be unpredictable. And this Liverpool side isn't exactly good at playing against players they've never played before. You saw what some of the Bournemouth lad Anthony done to us. You saw what Billing and Solanke done to us. Do you know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, when you're not familiar with something, I think there's been times where Liverpool have not known how to deal with it. And with the creativity that you guys have, I generally think Alvarez could have a really good game and could be more involved in the game than Haaland will be. And it's not going to be about nullifying Alvarez. You still now have to think about Grealish. When Haaland's playing, you don't have to think about Grealish as much. You know what I'm saying? Mahrez loves the game against Mahrez and Robertson. Be going at it for years. That man have been going at it for years. Years. Do you know what I mean? So and that is why I generally think that Haaland, and this isn't, and some people took this the wrong way when I said this. Oh, what? You think Haaland can't play against? Of course he can play against Liverpool, but it's not a disrespect on Haaland. It's just, I think it's another way of looking at things. I'm sorry, I just rather play against Haaland because we know what we're getting.
No, I see it. I see it because, you know, I understand it. I think on the flip side, I think City fans would just rather have Haaland because he's been our safe haven this season in goals. But
he's in form as well.
Yeah, you look at like a Virgil van Dijk, who isn't the same player since his injury. Maybe he's a little bit slower. Maybe he's a little bit more hesitant to go into challenges. Well, one thing that he can still do is clash, shoulder barge, get involved like that, right? And that's probably what he'd do more against Erling Haaland. But against a smaller player with a low centre of gravity, one that's going to twist and turn, and you don't know whether he's going to go, because sometimes I don't think Alvarez knows what he's doing. He's just in there, just busy, because he's what these players do, right? They just fucking go wherever, you know, they see some.
You're right with Diogo Jota, you know. Is that an unfair comparison to Diogo Jota, like how busy he is? He's always moving that low centre of gravity as well. I think
there's a lot of players that
is different technically, but
they're sort of maybe a little bit smaller than the average footballer, you know, but they've got that low centre of gravity, nice bit of pace and acceleration, that burst of speed. And the thing is, some of them are not even that technically good. I remember Carlos Tevez wasn't the most technical player in the world, but because he had that sort of aggression and acceleration and power on the floor, he used to fucking bundle past players all the time. So I remember him absolutely roasting John Terry, because John Terry was a similar player in the sense that, like, you know, put him up against a big, tall, strong attacker, and he'd love it. Put him against a little small guy who's like twisting and turning, and this is where some of these more stronger, powerful centre backs struggle. So I think that it's good that you said that, actually, because there's a lot of City fans that are worried about Haaland. Of course, I am worried because I'd still pick Haaland, even though what you just said, I'd still pick Haaland, obviously, you know, because that's what you got to do. But I think we've got to trust in Alvarez. You know, we got to trust that Alvarez can. You know, at the end of the day, he's played in the World Cup for Argentina. You know, he's a top player. We've just given him a new contract, and we've got to trust that this guy can perform. He's always scored against Liverpool. He's got a great GNA. If you look at his GNA per games, don't look that great. If you actually do it by 90 minutes, it's very, very good. Because the thing is, he always comes on for like 5-10 minutes, so that's added a game. So that's why whenever I look at the stats and do GNA, I never really look at it per game. I always go to the minutes and then divide it by the minutes. Yeah. You get a more accurate representation now, I find. But
I look for Firmino. That's why I said Firmino got a certain amount of GA and how many starts. You know what I mean? But I agree, man. I do think Alvarez, again, also when you're with someone like that, he will come deep and he'll go in behind. So it's like, do you go with him? Do you follow him? Or do you stay? What'd you do? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, to sort of bring this to a conclusion, I want to know how you think the game's going to go tomorrow. On Saturday 12:30, how you think this game's going to pan out, man?
Do you know, I always start thinking, so at the start of the week, we're losing. We're not winning this game. Under Pep, we don't win at the Etihad. It's just as simple as that. It's, you know, it's like United at Anfield. They're our whipping boys. It's just that simple. I look at the Etihad and I'm thinking, you reckon we can get a draw today? That's my energy. Usually, do you reckon we can get a draw today? No, at Anfield, I reckon we can get the win against you guys. It's that usual thing where whoever's at home has a real advantage, let's be honest, between Liverpool and City. But when I did hear that Haaland and Foden, it's more Foden for me. It's more Foden. He just decides to turn into prime Messi every time he plays us, and it really annoys me, innit? So, like, now that Foden's not playing, that's what's giving me a little bit of confidence for me, because Cancelo, even though we used to I think we used to target Cancelo when we used to play each other. But the difference was, it's a double-edged sword. Going forward, Cancelo used to really hurt us, man. Going forward, really, really used to hurt us. So I'd say, without Cancelo, Foden, and Haaland, my heart's telling me 1-0 Liverpool. My head's telling me 1-1. I'm gonna go with 1-1 because Keita's injured. Just actually come out not too long ago. Keita's come back injured. He lacks a performance against City, so he's not there. Thiago obviously won't be playing. Diaz.
So what is your midfield going to be? In fact, can you take us through potentially a starting 11 that we might see? Because like I said at the start of the video, man, there's a lot of injuries and but there's a lot of players coming back, so I need to know what's going on with the injuries and that.
So we're probably going to go. The back four speaks for itself. Of course, Ali in goal. Obviously, it's going to be Van Dijk partnered by Konate, Trent right back, and Robbo left back. Of course, so that sort of speaks for itself. We're going to go for the same midfield I believe we've gone for against Manchester United. Unfortunately, I do believe Elliott is going to be plugged into that midfield. Bajcetic obviously injured for the rest of the season. So it's going to be the good old Hendo Fabinho duo. It's going to be the good old trusty 5 years on the run. Henderson and Fabinho in the midfield with Harvey Elliott. And then I believe it will be Salah, Gakpo and Nunes up top. I reckon there is a chance that Jota starts because of how he played against you in the reverse fixture. Firmino could come in for Nunes. Nunes obviously didn't train for 2-3 days. So Nunes was a doubt as well.
Yeah.
So the only thing that doesn't speak for itself is maybe the front three. Salah's nailed on to start. If Nunes is fit, he'll play. But I reckon Klopp will probably go for Firmino if he does have any doubts. But it should be probably Gakpo, Nunes, Salah, Hendo, Fabinho, Elliott, and then the back four, Robbo, Trent, Konate, Van Dijk, and then Alisson.
I mean, we have to just target that midfield, man. Surely that's what we got to be doing, you know, because the attack's still decent.
How can you target something that's not there?
well, yeah, that's a good point, bro. Now, you know what I mean, innit? You know, we got to try and dominate that midfield. We got to move the ball quick. I want us to move the ball quickly around that midfield, you know. Henderson getting on, you know what I mean? Fabinho looking slow.
We'll start fast. We'll start fast, but it's just how long we can start fast for, I think.
Yeah.
What about you? What are you feeling for the score? What are you feeling score-wise in 11?
Well, I mean, we have to fucking win the game. And I think we will win the game. I think we will win the game, man. I'm confident we'll win the game because even though we've not got Foden, even though we've not got Haaland, I don't think Haaland was what gonna. Haaland wins us some games, but I don't think Haaland was gonna win us this game. I don't think that's what was gonna win us this game because I think what's gonna win us this game is keeping control of the ball, being really solid defensively, and really watching those runs in behind for Nunes if he plays. I think if Ake plays left back, might sound weird, yeah, but then I don't really worry about Salah that much if Ake plays left back. I still think he's a threat, right? But I feel that Ake can deal with him. Why? Because he dealt with Saka, you know, he pocketed Saka. He's done quite well at left back, and I think that he can do a job on Salah to keep them quiet enough, right? So then I'm thinking, okay, so how are we gonna win this game? As I said yesterday on the stream, I don't think City are gonna. Pep Guardiola's going to want to open the game up. I think that would suit Liverpool. I think we're going to try and shut the game down, keep the play nice and tight, be really accurate with your passes, and then just sort of press and then try and get Kevin De Bruyne on the ball a little bit further forward, and maybe just try and nick it. I could see this being like a 1-0 City, 2-0 City, 2-1. I don't think there's going to be many goals in this because if there's many goals, that either means the defenses have had a shocker or the attacker's been on like mad form or the game's opened up. I don't think the attackers are going to have like mad form because I think both defenses are still relatively strong in isolation. And I don't think Pep Guardiola's going to want to open up the game. I think that would be very, very naive. So I think he's going to keep it nice and tight. And I think we're just going to try and nick the game. And I think you know, if we get Grealish on the ball, Mahrez on the ball, KDB, I think we'll do just enough to nick it. Having said that, I do think it's going to be close, man. I would be very surprised if there's going to be pure goals in this because I just don't see the game opening up. I would think that'll be done, man. So I think City will do it.
Okay. And I've got one more question. If you lose this game, Is the league done? In your opinion, in just solely your opinion, is the league done?
No, it's not done. It's not done. The league isn't done if we lose the game. Obviously, you're saying that, and then Arsenal beat Leeds, right? I assume because if we lose against Liverpool, then Arsenal.
The gaps. If we do win the game, it's probably going to look like 11 points.
Correct.
With a game less.
That's why I said, innit? You're asking that question on the proviso that Arsenal also win against Leeds, right?
People, week by week, it's going to say Arsenal were champions there. Yeah. But then they can go to Anfield. We can pummel them, and then it's back to.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's. I don't think the league is over. I don't think the league is over, but as I said on the stream yesterday, and I said it since today on the City Extra stream, that for me it starts to change my priorities. Right now, I'm still focused. Like if I look at my energy, right, I'm looking at my energy of where am I putting my energy. So you got 3 competitions. We've got the Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup. Okay, well in the FA Cup, with all due respect, we're playing Sheffield United, right, and they've not got 2 of their key players in Tommy Doyle and James McAtee because they're both cup tied. They're not allowed to play in the game, so that gets relatively low energy because we can rotate players and we should still be beating Sheffield United. Still got to give them respect. They're second in the Championship, still good side. Still got to give them respect. But for me, that's low energy. So I'm probably looking at like 15% energy there, yeah? Okay, so then where am I looking at like the Champions? In fact, I'm going to say 20% because it's easy on the maths, right? Then I look at Premier League, Champions League. I'm probably looking at like Premier League. I'm probably looking at maybe, I don't know, 50% energy and then 30% energy on the Champions League, right? But if we get beat off Liverpool and Arsenal beat Leeds, that flips. So then I maybe go, okay, 50% energy, put more energy into the Champions League and then maybe less energy. And what I mean by that is I'm thinking first team players. So should I rest players, key players for the Premier League? I would then maybe consider resting players against Southampton at the weekend because then we got Bayern Munich 3 days later. And the reason I say that is because we could then win. We could lose against Liverpool, Arsenal beat Leeds. We could then win every single game for the rest of the season, including Arsenal, and we still won't win the league. We might not win the league if Arsenal win it. So then why would I be putting all my energy into a competition that even if I win every single game to the rest of the season 10-0, I still might not win the league? Clearly, my priorities then change towards the Champions League, where if I win every game to the rest of the season, we can win the Champions League.
Do you not look at Arsenal and look at the fact that their injury list is starting to pile up for the first time in the season? I think, oh, hold on a minute.
Yeah, obviously, there's injury news about Saliba, right?
Saliba's out.
Still don't know about the Saliba situation, about how long he's going to be out for. But
Tierney, I don't think
Tomiyasu.
Tomiyasu's out. And let's be honest, Arsenal, their squad isn't, their squad's not as crazy as we all think as it looks, as the 11, let's just say. So I don't know. I think you guys are under more pressure than Arsenal simply because you can't really drop many more points just because of the gap already. Yeah. I think if anyone can afford to lose this game more, it's probably Liverpool because there's inconsistencies all around top 4. Every team we're trying to beat, every team we're trying to beat to that 4th spot, there are inconsistencies. Anyone who puts together a run of 4 or 5 games, that's your top spot booked. I don't care what anyone says. That is your top spot. That's your top 4 spot booked, signed, sealed, delivered. Because we were with Chelsea. We got 4 clean sheets in 5 games. Everyone's saying us, Liverpool going to finish 4th. Because what did we do? We put together a decent run of games for once. Yeah. So I think with you guys though, Arsenal are so consistent. You guys have to almost pretty much win every game. I think the only if you
know what's funny, just rapid, that doesn't intimidate me personally. It might intimidate some City fans. Why? Because we've done it, and we've done it against a better team in Liverpool. You know what I mean? We've been under worse pressure than this against a better side. And that's why I'm still backing that my team can do it. Yes, we're in a transition period, but ultimately the fundamentals are the same. I believe that City will go on a run. But I have to believe that, right? Otherwise, what's the fucking point? I have to believe that we're going to go on a run, right?
When you play them, and I'm sorry, but the fact that they go to Anfield and the Etihad,
and they got Newcastle away.
That's the stuff. That is nightmare stuff. I'm sorry. And that's not to say they're not capable of getting points in any of those games. They are. They've pretty much broke through every barrier we've set in front of them. But
it's nasty.
You saw the performance at the Emirates. You've knocked them out the cup. It's 2-0 to the good right now. And if they so much as the gap's 8 points of the game in hand. I always say this to my people that support Arsenal. You can only drop points once more. Then it's in Man City's hands. Because if they beat you, and they still keep that goal difference,
and I think we will beat them. I think we will beat them.
So if they drop points one more time, and obviously you still have to win your game in hand, though. Providing you win your game in hand, they drop points one more time, it's now in your hands.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I believe that there's only, I think, three games, I think, now till the end of the season that I believe Arsenal will drop points, have a potential. I think they'll beat Leeds.
Chelsea as well.
Yeah, I think they'll beat Leeds. I think they'll beat everyone that's not in like the top 10. There's only 3 games that I'm looking at, which is City, which we have to win anyway, and I think we will win that game because Arsenal haven't beaten us in the league for like 7 years or something like that. Liverpool away, Newcastle away, Chelsea, and I think that's it.
It's at the Emirates.
Yeah, I don't think they play anyone else. Like, I don't think they drop points against Leeds. I don't think they drop points against Wolves on the last day, or against Brighton, or against Brentford. I just think that they'll beat them all. I think because they've got that sort of mentality.
I think Brentford will surprise you, man. I think the Brentford game is going to surprise us.
Well, I fucking hope so, but it's going to be a madness. It's going to be a madness. So, to end the stream, who do you think is going to? Who do you think is going to win the league? Do you think it's Arsenal, or do you think City will come back?
I have to stick to my guns, man. I still think Arsenal are going to do it, man. Do you know what it is? I think they're not home and dry. I'll probably prefer City to win it just because I'm used to it. That's nothing new to me. You man winning the league is nothing new to me. You see them, man. You see those guys. That trophy parade is going to be louder than Notting Hill Carnival.
It's going to be crazy, man. It's going to be.
You'll hear it from Mars, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not even their rival, and I'd want to leave the country.
Yeah,
unbearable.
It's going to be crazy, man. It's
unbearable. Sorry.
They will be loud.
I prefer you guys to win, but I think Arsenal might just pip you guys to it.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. At the end of the day, we are second and we are 8 points behind, and we've got a massive game
it's the Champions League. It's the Champions League.
Yeah,
you know what?
Champions League.
I'll say you lot will win the league.
Right.
It's the Champions League for me.
Interesting.
You have to focus on both.
Cool. Right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the that big preview. Got a lot of insight there about Liverpool, spoke about City as well. And obviously, the game it's going to be a massive game. These two teams, City and Liverpool, that have been possibly the greatest footballing rivalry, in this country for a long time. I'm talking pure ability. I know we've had United, Liverpool in the past, and United, Arsenal, but in terms of pure quality, I do think this rivalry between the two sides has probably been the best that I've ever seen in my lifetime. It's insane. Liverpool will want to beat Manchester City bad. City have got the upper hand on Liverpool in the Premier League, and we've won 4, they've won 1, so they will want to put a little bit more revenge, I think, here. But obviously they've got some injury concerns, and their midfield is weak. But City obviously have their own injury concerns. Haaland out, Foden out. It's going to be a madness. Yo, Mons, thanks for coming on, man. Doing this 53-minute video. Appreciate it. And this has gone out to all our members. And obviously, if you're watching it and you're not a member, it's just because it's been released. It's going to be a mad game. Are you doing anything on your channel for the game, man?
I'm probably might be on a watch along with Coppish. I've got a preview later on when this comes out. It'll probably be in the past, but I've got a preview that's going to be later on Friday, and we'll have the roundup on Sunday, 7:30, where we really going to have a look at the results of the games. I reckon probably Daps will be over there as well. Daps should probably be there as well. So it's going to be interesting. So hopefully maybe tune into that if you guys do want to subscribe over on my channel.
Exactly.
Like this video, most importantly. So
big up, man. Go show Mont some love and go subscribe to the channel. I'll put the channel in the title, guys, so it's easy for you. Just click it and go subscribe. Big up to everyone that's watching. It's going to be a mad game. We're doing our live watch along, so make sure you come and join us for that one. And guys, we'll see you in the next one. See you later.